Hey there, planners. Today I am going to do a flip through of how I've been using my daily pages in my new Hobonichi Cousin planner, which I'm using as my memory keeper. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. All right, planners, so I went through how I'm using the Hobonichi Cousin planner as a memory keeping planner. And I apologize if you hear growling in the background. That would be my puppy who is ferociously attacking a small bone. But I'm going to keep going. So I went through this, and I will link the video down in the description box below as well as up above about stepping through the yearly, monthly, and weekly sections. But I wanted to check back in and talk about how I'm using the daily pages. So I flipped to the 2 pages before the actual daily pages start with January 1. And I went ahead and made this section, divided it up into 12 boxes and made this section an index. Now, I'm not writing down every single thing that I put on every daily page, but I am capturing some of those highlights, things that I feel like I might want to come back and reference. I'm capturing those here so that I can quickly find things. For example, fountain pen info. That's something I'm going to want to come back to, so I'll go ahead and put that in the index. And so this is how I plan to use this section. And then when you flip into the first monthly page, each month has a sort of blank introductory page for the month, and then it starts with the dates. So what I'll say is, first of all, I am not always using the daily pages assigned a date for something that happened on that date. I'm really using the daily pages in a few different ways, which I started the first daily page just by listing some of the ways that I planned to use these pages. Creative journaling, list making, lots of watercolor. I love the Tomoe River paper and how it's performing with watercolor. Quotes, stickers, recipes, doodles, Bible study notes, research information as I'm looking up something I just want to keep track of. I'm just using these pages for all kinds of things. And I will say, coming into this, I worried a little bit about would I have enough to fill up all the daily pages each month. And, I really did not want to have blank pages. And what I'll say after having gone through all of January and almost all of February is I feel certain I will have plenty of information, things I want to capture on the daily pages. And now I'm starting to worry that I might run out of space. I'm just going to flip through and talk about the different ways I'm using these daily pages. So this is one great example. This first example is just, a list, something I'll come back and reference later. Doesn't really tie to the date at all, just a list. This was my first testing out of watercolor on the Tomoe River paper, and I absolutely loved it. This was just me testing out watercolor, kind of, Happy New Year, welcome to 2021. And I did get this planner well into the beginning of February. So I actually went back and sort of back planned, back memory kept on all these pages. And same thing for the monthly and weekly sections as well. So I did come back and do sort of a Happy New Year setup. I started making a list of lists. There's nothing greater for a type A personality than to make a list of lists to make. So I started that here, and I will keep adding to this as I go along, but just things that inspire me, priorities, color combinations, empty notebook ideas, scrapbook layouts, just all kinds of things, lists to make, and I'm actually starting to make those in here. This is date specific, so this had to do with January 6th and the riot and attack on the U.S. Capitol. I really felt like, from a memory keeping standpoint, that's something I wanted to capture in this planner because it was an important day and something I will want to look back on. A sad day, but definitely something I want to look back on. So I captured that here. Planner themes. I started making a list of planner themes. This is something I add to regularly. I keep a Pinterest board with ideas and inspiration, and so I just wanted to have a place here in this planner that I could keep adding to that as well. So this is me playing around with some doodles, and this is what I love about this this planner and the way I'm using these daily pages. There are just no rules. So I go from, really kind of artsy memory keeping to just doodles. I've been playing around with crystals. I think they're really hard to draw for some reason. They are so hard for me to draw. So I just was watching a movie and playing around with crystals and how to draw them. This is actually a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson. It's called Wintertime, and it was particularly cold on this day, and so I just felt inspired to kind of copy down and reflect on this poem. So I put that in there. I started doing some research on fountain pens. So I have been reading a lot about Tomoe River paper and how wonderful it is with fountain pens. And I don't have any experience with fountain pens. And so I really just kind of wanted to gather information, read, educate myself a little bit on, how do you start, what are the different terms and things to know. And so that's what this is. This is just me capturing information as I was researching. I did actually end up purchasing a beginner fountain pen and have been using it in here and loving it. So I will be talking about that in a future video. But yeah, I've fallen down the fountain pen rabbit hole. Here's a list of doodles. This was one of my list on my list of lists. And, this is so that I can come back in here and just kind of, if I want to draw or, want to play around the planner but need an idea, I can quickly come in here and pick something off the list. These are the lyrics to one of my very favorite Beatles songs, Blackbirds. I had this really cool sticker, which was actually the inspiration for writing this. I've got this great sticker book that's got some really unusual stickers in it, and so pulled that out, stuck that down, and then just started writing. This is me playing around with watercolor again, and I just am having so much fun with watercolor on this paper and in this planner. It's so wonderful that the paper takes it without ruining the other pages. So really fun just doing some patterns and doodles and playing around with it a little bit. And you can see this has nothing to do with the dates. And so, I might come in on a Sunday and do 4 or 5 pages. I might come in on a Wednesday night and do a single page or start a page and then come back to it later. So I'm just really leaving it very open and not a lot of rules to this planner, which is very freeing and I enjoy. This is tied to the date. This was January 18th, which was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and this is one of my very favorite MLK quotes that I put in here. I also wanted to go back and capture sort of COVID by the numbers from 2020 to current, and this is just a list of statistics and kind of history of, from the mysterious illness to a true global pandemic and bringing up to speed to January 1st, reflection of the year 2020. This is the inauguration day, and I wanted to just capture some information, Biden and Harris, information about them, some historical aspects of these two, oldest U.S. president, first female vice president, lots of landmarks there, and then just a quote to mark the day. This is some research, having nothing to do with the dates. I was looking up information on what are the safe foods to feed my puppy and how can I really use the Kong to keep him occupied and quiet and busy when it is raining, because it has been raining so much in my part of the world. And so I have been looking for ways to keep him busy and just started writing down instructions for how to make a good stuffing a good Kong for him and different foods that are dangerous for him, so I know what not to feed him. And so this was all just some research capturing there. This is a lyrics to a song that I love called Colder Weather. It's by Zach Brown Band, and just wanted to capture those in a little bit of doodling for snowflakes. It was really cold at this time. Playing around with watercolor again, just really trying to capture that winter sky look. And, it doesn't take very long to do this. The paper dries so fast. It's just really fun. Really fun to play around with. And this is ink, so this was a combination of watercolor and ink. Just a little quote that I love from Bob Ross: "We don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents." So you have to appreciate that positivity. This is a very functional spread. I did just a swatch of the 48 color watercolor set that I have, so I could come back and reference it. And that's actually why I have this tab here, because as I am watercoloring in this planner, I do like to come back here and reference these swatches to see what color I want to use. This brings us to the last pages in January, and I decided just to do a monthly sort of download, overview, review, kind of what's going on in the world, and then just a quote page. All right, so here's the introduction to February, and I decided to capture on this first page that is not dated for each month, just kind of the theme and some swatches of pens that I'm using. In my weekly pages, I am using the same colors throughout the month to kind of mark the different pages, and so I wanted to make sure I capture that. This is a bunch of research and kind of brain dumping and planning. I want to make some changes to my reference notebook with all of my reference information for my planning system. This was me kind of mapping out what that might look like. You can see it's gotten a lot bigger, but I do feel like I need more information but not more size, and so I'm kind of rethinking the system, and I've just titled this as kind of comically the encyclopedia of me. Because it seems so big. This is 1 Corinthians 13:8, the love scripture, and so I wanted to write that out here since this month of February is kind of the theme of love for me. I also wanted to make a big long list of all the things I love, or most of the things I love. So I just started writing things that I love, and then also a little bit of research around Greek words for love with different meanings. And I love that there are, different versions of the same word that have very different meanings. And so just capturing those here as well. This spread is all about the different ways to say love in different languages. So I think, if I remember correctly, I have about 25 different ways to say love in different languages here. Love there. This was more watercolor and pen. These are actually the words to one of my favorite Tom Petty songs, You Belong Among the Wildflowers. And, it's funny because I'm capturing song lyrics in here, and it's actually just the song. Sometimes I wake up with a song in my head, or, a song gets in my head throughout the day. And when that happens, I try to get it out of my head by putting it in my memory planner. So that's where you see some songs here. This is actually one of my Power Sheets goals this month, was to make a sort of healthy buffet menu of physical, mental, and emotional health activities that then I can pull from and put into my planner. So I decided to do that in here. I was playing around with color combinations using my Tombos. And then this is actually a tracker. My oldest daughter and I decided to go through and watch all of the Marvel movies in chronological order. And so we are working our way through using Disney Plus. Most of these movies are on Disney Plus, so we're working our way through. And so this was just a tracker spread to do that. This is a history of Valentine's Day, and just some general information, some research information. Since this is 2/14, I thought it would be interesting to capture what the history of the actual day is and where the name comes from. Fat Tuesday was on Tuesday the 16th, and so just writing out what the history, I actually, I knew some information, but I figured it would be good to give myself a little bit of history there. Quote, and just some journaling on new beginnings and new opportunities, and this is funny. So I'm not like some crazy Care Bear fan, but I did make these stickers using Procreate, an app on my iPad, and actually drawing out the Care Bears and getting the colors right, and then moved them over to Cricut Access and print and cut them there. So this was my first time making stickers kind of from scratch, and so I really enjoyed that. So I thought I would put them in here and capture their names and put them in a Care Bears rainbow scene. This was some journaling and some watercoloring. This is date specific. You can barely see the date through the watercolor, but this is February 20th and 21st. On February 21st, my oldest daughter was baptized at church, and just a really wonderful experience as a parent to watch your child go through that public demonstration and give a testimony. It was really, really moving. And so I wanted to do some journaling about that. I've got one of my favorite Bible verses here, and just a little bit of journaling, make sure I capture that as a memory. And then on the 22nd, I've captured the crochet pattern for a granny stripe blanket. This is one I have used over and over through the years. Every now and then I just get the urge to do a little bit of crocheting, and it usually happens when I am wanting to watch movies because I have a hard time sitting still, and since I've been watching the Marvel movies with my daughter, I have been wanting to crochet because it helps me sit still. So I went ahead and captured this. I always have to go dig it out and find it online, or and sometimes I find versions that are not really the ones I like, and so I just decided, let me write it down so that I know where it is. So I've got that in here, and then this is the lyrics to a song that I love, Like the Rain by Clint Black, and it has just been raining so much here that rain has really been on my mind lately, if you can't tell from the artwork in here. That is actually as far as I've made it to February 23rd. I have just a few pages left in February that I'll probably finish up this weekend and then move into March. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing the flip through and the way that I am using these daily pages. It is so fun. It is so freeing. There aren't any rules. I'm just really enjoying the flexibility that I have to do, whatever artistic thing or functional thing, or, there's just nice to have a place with no rules that I can really cut loose a bit. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will definitely continue to use this and also to share it on here with you. I would love to hear from you. How do you use the daily pages in the Hobonichi Cousin? It's one of the most intimidating parts to me when I went with this planner because it's, there's a lot of room here, and I was very worried that I would have trouble filling it up, but I've actually been really enjoying and kind of filling them up quickly. So I would love to hear from you down in the comments below if you are using the Cousin. How is it going with the daily pages? If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Plannin' Annie for more content like this. And as always, thanks for planning with me.